So my name is Pompidou Nsangou. I go to Collin County Community College, and my major is Associate Science, and I plan on transitioning to the Bachelor's of Business Administration. Technology is something that I've always been passionate about. It's always been art, technology, nature, and helping people. Art was something that in high school, I used to draw all the time and it was great, but I knew very well just the reality of becoming a starving artist, and I didn't want that for myself. So I always had the plan of having a career that could, sustain my art. It started with graphic design. I was like, okay, I can do graphic design. It involves technology, it involves art, it's creative. But as I kept, working with clients and stuff like that, I didn't feel the impact of the work that I was doing. And I wanted to do something that impacted more people. And that's kind of what got me to transition more towards coding and digital products and building websites and apps and stuff like that. So right now I am finishing up my Associate of Science. The goal originally was to transfer to UTD and continue towards software development. But as I have now been able to find work in the design field, I'm looking to get a degree that kind of complements what it is that I'm already doing. So it's making me switch to business to complement my design skills. So I recently just started a new job with a company called Photon. They hired me to work as a designer for Citibank, and that's really exciting. I haven't officially started doing actual design work, but prior to this, I was also working at a startup called Red House, which is a startup here in Frisco, designing applications for mixed reality for education and stuff like that. So it's I'm able to kind of be at the front lines designing products that people are going to use, whether it's a website or an actual app for students that they can put, a HoloLens on, a helmet, and be able to interact with digital objects and learn in a new and interactive way. Through professors and just, researching, right? And being able to figure out exactly the path that I kind of want to go. I've been doing my own research and through Collin was able to find programs that align with the goals that I had in mind. Looking up different classes, looking up professors, looking up, and even going outside of Collin and just going through, let's say even a LinkedIn, right? Seeing somebody that's in a position that I want to be in and seeing some of the steps that they took to get there, what degree paths could kind of lead them, whether it's, to a higher position within their organization or where did they pivot from, and taking all those things into account and forming my decisions for where I want to go. Despite not having taken a whole lot of development classes at Collin, the few classes that I've taken have really emphasized to me just the importance of learning outside of class, right? In order to be a great designer or developer, I think, you have to put in the work outside of class. Like your teacher can only take you so far. So you have to go on your own free time, experiment, whether it's design new things, fail as often as you can, and learn from those failures. And it's through that whole journey that you gain that experience that you need to be able to, be the best version, whether it's a designer or a developer that you can be. The main one has been, the Programming Fundamentals 1 class. And unfortunately, I can't remember the professor's name because I was, a few years back. But he was definitely really tough, and I got the most out of his class. With that knowledge of realizing that, like, in IT, you're going to have to be a lifelong learner. Like in me having to teach myself design, for example, right? Me having to go out of my way to find courses online and continue to, even after work, come home, continue to design, continue to work, go to meetups, basically taking learning into my own hands and making sure that, I can read books and I can learn all this stuff, but I'm also like growing outside of school. And I've been able to apply that with literally anything I do, whether it's, if I want to get into photography now, finding ways to kind of push myself to go outside the box and teach myself some of the things that I need to learn. Short and long term. Short term, I guess just kind of growing within this position, right? And I'm gonna try to take a year to just kind of learn as much as I can, and from there, push for a higher position. Long-term goals. I guess there's a few long-term goals, right? There's this like the mid-level long-term, which is like, I would love to work at a Microsoft eventually. That would be huge. But even further than that, I want to help the community, and I want to be able to use kind of the resources that I have to be able to kind of propel, a new generation of minorities getting into tech. Because as of right now, there's not a whole lot of us in this space, and I think part of that is because a lot of us don't even realize some of the possibilities that are out there when we're younger, right? And I want to be able to kind of speak to these things, whether it's developing programs that can help out minorities or partnering with companies that already exist that do that. And I kind of want to have a seat at the table to be able to have a bigger impact in that way. If I was not involved in IT, probably some type of like maybe working with like a nonprofit organization or something. Again, I love helping people, and I love kind of giving back. So if money wasn't an issue, and IT wasn't the plan, I think I would love to just kind of do art and help out. The one thing my mentor told me when I first started in this journey was to never stop going to school. Part of the reason why I went to Collin was because it was a struggle. My immigration status wouldn't have allowed me to kind of go to college in the first place. I was able to get DACA, thankfully, which allowed me to be able to go to school, but I didn't have the money to fund it at the time. And my mentor came in, he helped me out, he pitched in to pay for my first couple of classes, which got me started. And one of the things that he told me was, never stop going to school. Like, no matter how difficult it gets, always, even if it's just one class, stay in that one class, right? And that's been super profound for me because life happens, right? And sometimes, you may have those periods where you can't afford to take 2, 3, 4 classes, and it gets difficult. But I think for me, having been able to just kind of maintain at least one class kind of keeps you in that mindset of like, I'm working towards something, even if I haven't arrived at that goal yet. I'm still taking baby steps towards that thing. It also keeps you in this learning mode, right? Because once you stop and you try to go back, that's the hardest part, trying to get that motivation to keep going. So I would say, even if you don't fully know what you want to do yet, just stick towards the path that you're going through. And I think eventually, like, the road that you're trying to get to will slowly reveal itself.